By the year 2030, adults 65 and older will outnumber children in the United States for the first time in history. The big question is, are our communities ready? Most aren't. In fact, only 1% of U.S. homes meet 5 basic accessibility criteria. In this episode, AARP's Shannon Guzman breaks down the urgent need to rethink how we design our homes, streets, and neighborhoods. You'll learn how the AARP Livability Index is helping us measure what matters, and what steps we can all take to make sure that we can age where we live with dignity and independence. Welcome back to This is Getting Old, Moving Towards an Age-Friendly World. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Batchelor, and I'm a nurse and a nurse practitioner with nearly 30 years of experience caring for older adults and their families. In addition to hosting this podcast for the past 5 years, I'm also a professor at the George Washington University School of Nursing and director of the GW Center for Aging, Health, and Humanities. And one of the major annual events that the center does is called the Age-Friendly Ecosystem Summit. And this event is held in collaboration with our age-friendly partners that include Georgetown University, Age-Friendly Arlington and Alexandria in Northern Virginia, Age-Friendly DC, Age-Friendly Howard County, Hyattsville, and Montgomery County in Maryland, and we recently added Age-Friendly Orange County in North Carolina. Many municipalities across the United States face challenges related to the growing number of older adults in their communities, and on your own, finding solutions can be really tough. So the Age-Friendly Ecosystem Summit features exemplar initiatives from these organizations and our other multi-sector partners in the aging space. By giving a platform to these exemplary programs and services, it offers an opportunity for other individuals and communities facing the same challenges to gain inspiration and actually replicate the programming, which helps all of us move towards an age-friendly world. I would like to thank both the GW School of Nursing and the Center for Aging, Health, and Humanities for sponsoring this special series of videos that highlight several of the amazing presentations from prior events, and I hope that they serve as an inspiration to you to join us for the next annual Age-Friendly Ecosystem Summit. So please stay tuned until the end to learn more about how you can connect with the GW Center for Aging and get more information about these upcoming events and more. Now let's dive into today's topic about how livable is your neighborhood, based on AARP's Livability Index. This is a presentation from a recent Age-Friendly Ecosystem Summit hosted by the George Washington University's Center for Aging, Health, and Humanities and the GW School of Nursing. And today we're tackling a question that affects us all. What makes a community truly livable as we age? Joining me is Shannon Guzman, who's the Director of Housing and Livable Communities at AARP's Public Policy Institute. Shannon brings deep insights into the demographic shifts shaping our future, why so many communities weren't designed with aging in mind, and how AARP's Livability Index is helping communities across the country make smarter, more inclusive choices. So whether you're a caregiver, a policymaker, or just thinking ahead about where you want to age, this conversation is packed with practical takeaways.
It's wonderful to be here. Again, my name is Shannon Guzman. I'm Director of Housing and Livable Communities at AARP's Public Policy Institute, where we do research and analysis on issues that impact the lives of the 50 plus and their family. Next slide. So one of the things that we talk about usually when we talk about our national perspective on age-friendly communities, aging, and livable communities is to talk about demographic changes that we're seeing across the United States because they impact how and where we live. So one big change that we expect to see is that in a few short years by 2034, the number of adults who are age 65 and older will outnumber those who are 18 and younger for the first time in our history. We're also seeing our population become more racially and ethnically diverse. More people are living alone. We see the prevalence of more multi-generational households. That's 2 or more generations living together. And then we're also seeing that more people are living as caregivers. That's helping someone in a close relative or within their family who needs, specific care. And 40% of those are caring for someone actually in their home. Next slide. We're also seeing that communities largely are facing challenges. And one of the reasons, especially when it comes to aging, and one of the reasons for that is that communities weren't developed and designed with aging in mind. So you'll see communities that have limited access to certain amenities and services, a growing housing cost burden among different households, especially those who are older. That means they're spending 30% or more of their income on housing, and that means that they have less disposable income for other very important things that they need, say food, transportation, or healthcare. We're also seeing a lack of housing options within communities. You may see in one community a certain type of housing dominates that community. So that means that people are lacking choices that they may need at every different life stage. Also, the risk of our developing a disability can increase with age. And so we want to make sure that our homes and our communities are suitable for people with varying mobility levels. And we have housing with many physical barriers that make them difficult to navigate and may actually keep people isolated within their homes. And then we see a prevalence of health disparities. That means that certain people within our communities don't have the same access to quality healthcare services in their homes. And this is often exemplified or illustrated by the difference in life expectancies. And you can see a difference between 20 to even 10 to 15 years, even with community members within the same broader community, but they live in different neighborhoods. And then there are only 1% of homes have 5 key accessibility features that make our homes safe and comfortable as we age. Next slide. So also AARP regularly surveys adults age 18 and older for what is it that they have and what is it they want in their communities. And so in their homes and communities. And so nearly 80% of those who are 50 and age 50 and older want to stay in their homes and communities as they age. And they're also telling us they want certain services and features within their communities as well. So they want to be located near healthy food options and grocery stores. They want high quality, convenient healthcare. They want to have housing near certain key services. They want affordable housing options, and they want to be able to participate in community decision-making processes. Next slide. So with this information, we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of people as they age, where they live. And so we promote livable communities. We want to help community members and local decision makers and key stakeholders create communities that are safe and secure, that have affordable and appropriate housing and transportation options, and that offer supportive community features and services. And once those things are in place, then people can thrive as they age. Next slide. And livable communities are for everyone, regardless of age, regardless of life stage, no matter your age, income, background, whether or not you live in an urban or rural environment, all people belong in a community that is livable. Next slide. So we developed almost 10 years ago the AARP Livability Index platform. And this is a tool that uses more than 50 nationally available sources of data to get a picture of what the community looks like in terms of key factors that can help support aging. And we'll be actually releasing our 2024 version of the Livability Index platform this coming Thursday, October 10th. So let's look at the next slide and we'll get a little bit more into the index. So the idea behind the creation of the index is that we want to make sure that people live their fullest life at any age, wherever they may live. And so we wanted to provide this tool that helps communities measure how well they're doing against certain key indicators within community life. So our main objectives are to help motivate state and local change when it comes to planning and policy, inform key stakeholders, encourage community participation, and then help communities become more livable over time for everyone who lives there. Next slide. So we measure every place in the United States. You input your address, you can input your zip code, your town, your county, and state, and we score communities on a scale of 0 to 100, and the average score is a 50. Our base measure is at the neighborhood level, and then we aggregate up to the higher geographies to get scores for each community. So you get an overall score of livability, and then you get a score for 7 different categories of livability, from housing to health to opportunity. That's economic and educational opportunity. But no score gets 100, and no community gets 100, no community gets a 0. All communities are on this continuum of livability. All communities have work to do. So the idea is to really help communities identify where their assets are, point out where they're doing well. And as you can see here for 2023, the range of scores for cities was between 23 and 73. So in this case with Anaheim, they were getting a score of 55. So anything above 50 we consider very good. Next slide. So I want to get into what these categories actually look at. We have a total of 61 indicators, 40 are metrics, which define conditions on the ground, current conditions on the ground. And then we also have policies, which are more aspirational. These are policies that a community may have in place. But before we get a little bit more into that, these are the 7 different categories. In housing, we look at housing accessibility, housing options, housing affordability. And in transportation, we look at convenient transportation options, transportation costs, and safe streets. And these attributes are qualities and features that we want to see or that we care about in a livable community, among others. Next slide. So if you go into a category, you'll see those indicators that I mentioned, and they vary between 4 and 9 indicators per category. And so you'll see in housing, the conditions on the ground, we look at 0-step entrances. We look at the availability of multifamily housing, which gets at housing options. We look at housing costs, and also affordable housing with subsidized housing as well. Next slide. And with policies, we're looking at aspirational goals. A community has put a policy in place because they want to reach a certain goal. And so you'll see, we'll track whether or not a community has, say, inclusive design laws or housing trust funds, and they'll get a check, you'll see on the screen, but they also get a point added to their category score. All the category scores are rolled up into this overall total livability score. And you'll see that for each category. Next slide. So one of the things that we introduced in our 2023 version of the Livability Index is a way for users or any visitors coming to the website, instead of their inputting in a location, this new feature of the Livability Index allows folks to decide what features or amenities that resonate with them, what are their preferences for communities, and input those in, and then get a list of communities that meet those criteria that they have. So it's another way to access this data for communities. Next slide. And there are a variety of uses for the Livability Index. Say that you are someone who is caring for a family member and you would like for them to look for a new place to live, or they're asking for your help in looking for a new place to live, and you want to decide between communities. You can compare communities side by side using our comparison tool. And you can see what, in this case, on the right-hand side, what medical services or healthcare services, what the access is like for that particular community. Next slide. And then I gave a brief explanation of our categories, but if you wanted to learn more about the categories that are components within the Livability Index, we just published the Category Explained fact sheets, which highlights each of the 7 different categories and the indicators that we've included in the categories and why they contribute to community livability and why they're important to support people as they age. Next slide. So knowing this about aging, about how our communities, our countries changing demographically, about some of the challenges that communities are facing, what are some things that we can do to help improve livability where we live? So one way is to raise awareness about aging. What are the fact that we're a rapidly aging society, that since we're all aging, we can think about what our needs are and how our needs might change, and we can share our perspectives on aging and our knowledge and information about aging with others. We can share knowledge about community needs, the challenges, and some solutions. We should be taking a holistic approach when we think about policies that impact housing and transportation and your neighborhood and health. And how can we develop an approach in a way that we're creating a toolbox of solutions to address a wide range of community needs. So we can look at things like zoning laws and regulations. We can look at whether or not we have access to volunteer driver programs, whether or not we need to expand broadband and internet access for folks so that they can stay informed and engaged and interact with folks online and get information about their community. We also need to engage a range of partners to help us make our communities more livable. So that includes our anchor institutions, say universities, church, places of worship, our businesses, local organizations, and the government to collaborate to make our communities more livable. And then we also always want to encourage community member participation in sharing their perspectives and voices in how we make investments and develop and design our community.
Thank you, Shannon, for walking us through how AARP's Livability Index measures what really matters for aging well. Things like housing affordability, transportation access, and neighborhood health. We explored why our communities must evolve to meet the needs of an aging, more diverse population and how local leaders, businesses, and everyday residents can take action. Shannon offers clear strategies from updating zoning laws to expanding broadband that can improve life not just for older adults, but for everyone. If you want to future-proof your community or your own aging journey, this episode is your roadmap. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'd like to invite you to be part of the GW Center for Aging Health and Humanities community, and there are a couple of ways that you can do that. First, you can join our email list by visiting the GW Center for Aging's website, and we're also going to include a direct link in the show notes for this episode. And we'd also love to have you join our Facebook group. It's called Building Age-Friendly Ecosystems, and we'll also have that direct link in the show notes for you as well. If you have any trouble finding the website or the Facebook group, please email us at aging@gwu.edu, and we can help you find either or both. If you found value in this episode, please hit the like button and share it with someone else that will find it helpful. Hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you're alerted when the next episode comes out, which is usually on Tuesdays around 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And until next time, be well.